Oh, I'm so excited. I'm so excited. Oh, and confused. Oh, because I'm not used to being a one-woman's baking show. And the reason why I want to bake something is because we need to celebrate. Because right now, this entire space is completely finished. As in, there isn't a single DIY job left to do. It is done. And I honestly can't believe it. I really can't believe it. I can't believe that I finished another space completely before the end of the year. And I'm so happy about it. This is going to be our last Christmas over here in the Netherlands because next year we will celebrate Christmas in Sweden in our new house. That, by the way, is not a house yet because we bought an old school, so it still needs to be turned into a livable space, and the quest of turning this school into a livable home will continue right after Christmas when we are going to drive the second load of stuff over there. And this is also when we are really going to start renovating. So this is not going to be us just winging it and having fun like we did when we gave our main entryway into the school a little makeover. Although the fun part is still going to be there, but the winging it part is not. Because this is going to be a serious renovation job that we are going to start. Right now though, we are still here at the farmhouse, and I really want to celebrate this year's Christmas in a warm and cozy and clean and beautiful and hopefully completely finished space. Oh, by the way, it is really cold outside, so let's just go home and let's light a fire and let's do some Christmas decorating. And I also want to do all of the last DIY jobs in here because I would really love to have this entire space, which by the way is really big, completely finished before the end of the year 2024. The most positive thing about this space is how big it is. And the biggest downside to this space is how dark it is. And this is because this entire space, which by the way is 2/3 of the entire ground floor, was used in the past for keeping the cows in. So the people would live at the front of the house in what we now call the living room, although Rogier actually calls it the inside, because this was actually what it was still like when he bought this farmhouse 25 years ago. So the windows in here are very small because it was used to be a stable, and creating as much brightness as possible is very important because we need to sell this house and we need things to feel less dark. So now that one part of the space is beautifully decorated, I am moving on to painting the kitchen island in a color that is going to be a lot more bright than this. And I also want to do something artistic that I've wanted to do for years now, but that I never came around to actually doing until now. So today is going to be the day, and I'm really excited about it, but also a little bit nervous because I don't know how it is going to turn out. Whenever I do an artistic project that involves drawing or painting, I always have to remind myself that there are no mistakes, just happy little accidents. Because apparently I do have some insecurities when it comes to creating something like this, because it's different than the graphic design that I am used to doing on my computer, or at least that's what I used to do for years. And this was a really great platform for me because it allowed a certain amount of perfectionism. Because if I would have to make this in Photoshop, it would be perfect. Because Photoshop is perfect, but I am not. So this is also about accepting that every single stencil is going to be different, because I'm a human being and not a machine or a computer. And besides those things, this is also me experimenting with a style that isn't per se mine. Which, by the way, doesn't mean that I don't like it, because I do. And because of all of those things, this is a little bit out of my comfort zone. Doing these stencils, I mean. But I really liked doing this project, and I'm actually kind of happy with how it turned out. Oh, I'm so excited. I'm so excited. Oh, and confused. Oh, because I'm not used to being a one-woman's baking show. For Christmas, yay! For Christmas. We are going to make kwaakbroodjes in Dutch. But I'm going to do it in English. So let's get started. And then I will talk you through a couple of the DIY jobs and all kinds of other things that I've done in the last couple of days too. Because I haven't really filmed everything, because I just needed to make some progress. So there are a couple of things that you guys haven't seen yet, like the cabinet over there on the other side of the room, which has been painted. Now, the reason why I didn't film painting this cabinet was because I found Nolan specifier in the drawer, and I wasn't expecting that, and I just felt really sad when I found it, So I just needed a minute to deal with my emotions, which I did, so I'm okay. And now I'm also going to need a roller. Roll, roll, roll my life gently down the paint bucket. Now I want to change this color from a blue tone into a green tone because it is going to feel more neutral and more warm and a little bit less like a cabinet for a baby nursery. So that's one of those things that I just skipped on filming. And I also painted all kinds of things on the other side of the room over there where we have the door that goes into the laundry space. So I've painted the little window and I also painted the door frame and the baseboards in the same color of green that I also used over here on the around the panels underneath the kitchen island. That, by the way, looks lovely and I really like how it turned out because it's so much more bright and happy and cheerful and fun. Now this drawing that I found in a thrift store is here just temporarily because I needed some color. And this, by the way, is going to need a new piece of glass because it broke. And then Rogier came up with the idea to use this pot as a storage solution for the cat food. So now we don't have all of those bags lying around anymore. And I made myself a Christmas pillow and 2 little Christmas curtains that are probably a little bit difficult to see. And I made all of these things with a piece of fabric that I found in a thrift store in Sweden. Now the first thing that we need to do is mix all of the wet ingredients. And those are 75 milliliters of sunflower oil, 325 grams of quark, and then I'm also going to add 1 egg. And I'm going to put 1 egg aside because we are going to need it later. Kwarkbroodjes is something a little bit in between a normal bread and a scone. But the texture is different because it's really fluffy on the inside and really nice and crispy on the outside. And they just have a little hint of sweetness that you could make sweeter just by adding more sugar. But I really like them like this. And I'm also going to add some cinnamon. So this is what makes it perfect for Christmas. So now we are going to mix all of the dry ingredients, starting with 400 grams of all-purpose flour, 1 package of baking powder, and this is 16 grams, and also 1 little sachet of vanilla sugar, and this is, how much is this? 8 grams. And I personally always like to run this through a sieve. 2 tablespoons of sugar. Now you are supposed to add 2 teaspoons of cinnamon, but I do prefer a tiny bit more. So now I'm just going to add the wet ingredients to the dry ingredients and then I'm just going to mix it. Now if you would like this to be a little bit more sweet, you could obviously add a little bit more sugar. But I really like them like this, so I'm not going to do that. And the nice thing about this is also that the dough doesn't need time to rise at all. So you can just put it into the oven immediately and then it's only 20 minutes of baking time and then it's done. And this, oh my god, it already smells so nice. And I think it is just the quark, how do you say that in English? It's just this very thick yogurt, right? And the cinnamon and the vanilla sugar that makes it smell so nice. And the dough, by the way, is supposed to be a little bit sticky. But not too sticky, because otherwise you can't really work with it. So I might want to add a tiny bit of flour depending on how sticky it is going to be. And all I need to do right now is just turn it into a nice ball of dough. I can't wait to eat this. Because I've actually been doing the carnivore diet for the longest time. And it hasn't been easy because I am just not really a meat lover, and I've never been a meat lover. So if I could choose, I would probably choose a vegetarian diet. And this is not because I think that it's wrong to eat meat, because I don't. But this is just personal preference, because I never miss eating meat when I don't eat it. I do miss eating salads though, when I don't eat it. And I've just struggled a lot with eating enough meat, which you need to do, because otherwise you aren't going to get the vitamins that you need. Because believe it or not, all of the things that you need are actually in meat, as long as you don't eat any carbs, because your entire system works differently. And because of that, you just need different amounts of vitamins. And if you eat the right things, this diet, it makes you feel like you are doing what you are meant to do. Or at least that's how it feels to me. But it's difficult. It's really difficult if you don't really like eating meat. So I messed up. And I will probably go back to it. But I don't want to do that right now, because it is this whole thing that you need to go through. You know, the whole detoxing process from the carbs and the sugar. It's not the nicest thing to do. So right now I'm just going to enjoy myself a little bit, and then somewhere in the new year I will probably go back to it. So that means that I am just going to eat meat, fish, eggs, butter, salt, and I'm going to drink water and sometimes a little bit of tea. Now I've actually experimented with all kinds of things, with trying out all kinds of things, and it didn't end well. So I think for me, you know, in my situation with my chronic illness, this diet just provides a little bit of peace and quiet in the storm, because it's so basic and there's really nothing to respond badly to. And for right now, for me, this is probably the right thing to do. Now, the only thing that I have noticed that I am responding really well to is curcuma. So that's very interesting. And there are probably other things that I can eat too, but I just need to figure out what those things are. And I do think that it's always a good idea to just do little experiments. And I do think that somewhere in the future I'm going to be able to eat all kinds of things again. But I need to get my chronic illness under control a little bit more. So for now, we are having an amazing cheat day. And I'm also going to have a great Christmas dinner, and I'm not going to worry about it, because after that I will go back and then everything is going to be okay. Yeah. So we do also need a little bit of baking paper, or however you call that in English. And that's it. There's nothing more. Or is there? Oh! Yes, there is. I totally forgot about the salt. Oh no. Seriously. You guys, I am a little bit tired after all of the things that I've done. And it's not even the DIY jobs that made me tired, because it wasn't all that much. But all of the cleaning. Shit. Okay, so now I'm going to just hope for the best. That's so stupid. Okay. Okay, so now that I have fixed my mistake, I'm going to make little buns out of this. Now there's a lot of baking powder in this recipe, so they do get a lot bigger in the oven. So you need to make sure that they have enough space. And I just usually don't make them too big. I am going to take a couple of weeks off. But I will keep you guys posted in a community tab, and I will also try to make a couple of shorts just like I did the last time when we were there. And then after that I will be back with some fun videos about our Sweden adventure somewhere in the second half of January. So now we are going to need one more egg. Now we are just going to whisk the egg. And on top of that, a mix of sugar and cinnamon. So there we have it, kvarkbolletjes. And bolletjes, by the way, are little buns. Now this, my friends, was one hell of a year. But I do think that we are ending 2024 with a bang and a lot of positivity, and I can't say that I regret anything. Now, if I would have to say one last thing, it would actually be thank you to all of you for being here and for your support and for all of your sweet comments and likes and for subscribing to my channel, because without you guys, my YouTube channel would not exist. So I really appreciate each and every one of you, and I really hope to see you in the next year for all kinds of interesting and fun projects that I feel so excited about. So thank you, and I really hope to see you soon. And now we clean again. All we need for Christmas is sugar and carbs and candy and cake. Oh, and pizza. That too. If you need proof of how nice it is, this is it.